Welcome to another episode of OG55 Live, the Italiano and OG55. We are live. We are back doing the live show thing. George, are you ready, brother?
I'm ready, bro. Let's do this.
Let's rock and roll. Welcome aboard, everybody, to OG55 Live. We are doing it live again. We are back.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to all who come to this happy place,
welcome to Orange Grove 55.
Yes, we are live. It is official. Blow the whistle. George, looking pretty dapper over there with the shades and the fedora. Welcome back, the Italiana.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here. Glad to be on the show. Glad to be doing these lives. I absolutely love the conversations, the engaging with our viewers and our listeners, and it's always a good time talking shop with you, bro.
Absolutely. If you let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir. Except your OnlyFans, man. Except your OnlyFans.
What could I say,
man? Not family friendly, you know what I'm saying?
Not family friendly. That's how I roll. But yeah, we're going to keep this PG here. So if you'd like to find me on my PG networks, you could do so on X, formerly known as Twitter, which actually, if you hear the term X, you would think that would be an OnlyFans platform. At Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. All right. So before I dive into the questions, a little programming note. Tonight on this live show, we're going to go for 2 hours. 2 hours. So hopefully we'll get through all the questions, but we do have a hard out today in 2 hours. So we're going to try our best to get through them all, but we might miss some if we get close to that 2 hours and there's still some questions out there. But George and I, the Italiana, we're going to try our best to get through everybody's question and dive into these because we have a ton of questions and a lot of these are amazing. A lot of juicy and even sticky, right, George? Questions in the chat. So we're really looking forward to it. So let's go ahead and get the party started, shall we, George?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. T.S. Wade is asking, is the ValueAct really good for Disney? If it is, how so? Okay. So for those of you that are not aware of what the ValueAct is, it's an activist investor, similar to Nelson Peltz's Trion Group, right? Except for this one, this is a Disney-backed, like Disney supporting this ValueAct. Okay. So this news dropped, I think, like about a week ago. I think it was like January 3rd or 4th or something like that. It was like right after the new year. T.S. Wade is asking, is the ValueAct really good for Disney? In my opinion, yes. Now, we have a contributor on the channel, Seymour Duck, who we will be doing a big Universal video about all the announcements today of Pokemon and everything with Seymour this weekend. But Seymour, like you all know, he's a huge Nintendo guy. And he brought to my attention that ValueAct is actually at least partly responsible for the success that we see with Nintendo today. I'm going to go ahead and share an article real quick. Right here. Okay, so this is from, let me see here. When was this from? This is from 2020, I believe. Yeah, April 22nd, 2020. Okay, so it says here, activist investor ValueAct believe Nintendo can rival Netflix and Disney Plus. The San Francisco company has built up to $1.1 billion stake in the platform over the last year. It says here, ValueAct says there is room for the platform holder to grow both in the game space and as a broader entertainment company. What have we seen from Nintendo lately? We've seen them grow as a broader entertainment company. We've seen them do deals with with Universal, with theme parks. We've seen them dip into the movie game a lot more now. We just had a highly successful Super Mario Brothers animated movie. They're partnering with, I believe, Sony for a live action Zelda. This is all part due to ValueAct and their influence on the board.
And this will happen, and this will do exactly what it should do for Disney as well. And especially if Disney is backing this up, it'll help it even broaden the horizon for projects to kind of look beyond to just one little square box, so to speak.
Right, exactly. And this Value Act, they have a history of a good track record of other media and tech companies. I think it's a much more, I think the mix of companies that Value Act has been involved with is a better fit for Disney than the Trian Group. And again, I'm not here to like crap all over the Trian Group. I've said it before. I'm not opposed to these groups coming in if they have some value to bring to the table, right? I just respectfully disagree with a lot of what the Trian Group wants to do. I did not like Jay Verzullo when he worked for Disney. I didn't think he did a great job with a lot of stuff. The parks. Look, I've been in the community. I say this all the time, a long time, and I remember the fan conversations around Jay Verzullo at that time, and it was not positive. Okay, so I'm not against Trian Group necessarily. If they bring something to the table that I support, cool. But they haven't really impressed me. Also, Perlmutter's on board, okay? It's like it's kind of a mess. Value Act, from what I've seen with the Nintendo stuff, I think we can all agree Nintendo has done amazing the past few years. You know, they have a portfolio more tailored towards Disney with a lot more media and tech stuff. It just seems like a good fit for me. I don't know. Now, look, there might be news that comes out about Value Act tomorrow, and I might change. It might alter my opinion. I'm open to that. But as I stand right now, I think it's a good fit for the company. Go ahead, George.
And I think too that the company of Disney has been saying, you know, the turnaround is going to be 2024. So we are now in 2024, and we are starting to see different aspects of the company that is pulling full steam ahead. You know, there are things that are coming back that haven't been there for several years, new things, specials, deals, you know, different things, you know, coming on the horizon. And I also feel too that they're going to be utilizing that now, that if they really don't want really anything to significantly change as far as the board of executives go, this is their time to shine, because this is it. This is their last shot. If they don't get this right, there could be a change into the board. Not saying that could be a bad thing. We don't know. But it's, if they have a strategic plan and they don't want that altered or hindered in any way, then they have to start making big, significant moves.
Yeah. And this Value Act announcement was a blow to Nelson Peltz and their Trian Group. It just is. It just is. This was very good news for Disney. This is a smart thing, I think, for Disney. I think this might. Now, I'm saying might. Okay, this is speculation. I do think this might severely hinder Peltz's chances with the board. I think prior to Value Act, I think his chances were looking pretty good. We talked about it. I think this does cause some issues for him, but we'll see. You just don't know. This stuff changes rapidly. An announcement could come out tomorrow and change the whole equation. We just don't know. But T.S. Wade, thank you so much for the question, brother. Yes, I do believe, and I believe the Italiano as well, believes the Value Act is good for the Walt Disney Company.
Absolutely.
That's a wrap. 818. Would it be profitable?
I'm sorry, bro. Every time you do that, I'm thinking we're ending the show already. Like, we just got started. It's like
that's a wrap, dude. That's a wrap. So my 8-minute and 28 second crew, we're all done. Thank you for hanging with us. It's been a great show, everybody. Just kidding. Just kidding. Now we're going. We're going.
Yeah,
we're going 2 hours today. We're going. That's a wrap. 818. Would it be profitable for Disney to sell off some of the Fox properties to companies that could utilize them better? For example, the Simpsons to Comcast seems like they are just sitting doing nada. Here's the thing with the Simpsons, and I actually talked to George about this on a video recently. The Simpsons don't feel like a Disney property at all. Like, I don't care how many years they've owned them. I look at the Simpsons and it just doesn't feel like Disney. Star Wars, I felt, fit the Disney kind of model very well. It's a galactic fairy tale, long time ago, galaxy far, far away. It totally fits with Disney, in my opinion. Simpsons is a little, it's a tough pill to swallow, okay? But here's the thing with the Simpsons. The Simpsons,
I think I know where you're going with this, and I'm going to bring it up if you don't. But I wonder if you're thinking the same thing I am.
Okay, here's the thing with the Simpsons. They are the king of streaming. The numbers for The Simpsons on Disney Plus are massive. That's why Disney will never, ever, ever let go of The Simpsons. But other properties in Fox, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that Disney really can't utilize. Why not sell some of those assets off and properties off to a Comcast or to a Paramount or to David Zaslav at Warner Brothers or something? Why not make a few extra bucks if you can? A lot of stuff that they have in that portfolio, I don't know. It's not much use. You can't do much for the theme parks. Now I get it. The streaming platforms, they do want to fill those platforms, but I think that you can still have a robust library and maybe sell off a few of these and make a few extra bucks right now when you kind of need the money. But what do you think, George?
So just speaking of The Simpsons, that's exactly what I was going to mention, OG. Like, it is crushing on Disney Plus right now because it's The Simpsons. I mean, no matter what kind of platform you place them on, even when they were just on regular basic cable, primetime television, they are the longest running primetime show in the history of television, and they're still going. I believe it's 35 seasons now they're on already, and it's still going.
Crazy.
And I feel like when it comes to the theme parks, I really don't think that there's a place for The Simpsons at any of the Disney parks. And really, honestly, I don't really think any park for that matter. And I feel like that's where Universal is having issues right now, which there's rumors, which we'll get into possibly later on in the live, and also our video that we'll be upcoming doing with Seymour, that, the Simpsons may be on the chopping block. They are in Hollywood, Universal Hollywood, but it also may be for Universal Orlando as well, because as you and I had spoken about this, OG, it's like it's just not a fit type of IP for a theme park. And I think there's like certain things you can kind of get. And I'm a huge Simpsons buff.
Well,
I absolutely love the show, but outside of the streaming, I don't really see anything going by. But also too, while the Simpsons are still in the Universal parks, Disney is still banking on that, because any piece of Simpson merchandise that is being sold, they get a profit of that.
Right, exactly. Now that is actually, yes, right now, absolutely. That's going to change from what we're hearing from a lot of Universal people. The Simpsons are on their way out. From what I understand, Disney denied them a request to renew or something to that effect, which we all knew was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's interesting. So that's going to ultimately end, which we're going to do a video this weekend with Seymour Duck about Universal and their plans with Pokemon and Luigi's Mansion and all that. Look for that this weekend, but it's tied to that Universal situation. So yeah, but it's like, that's the thing. It's like Simpsons is one of those properties where the animation style works for visual media, like a TV show or whatever. But like, is it really compelling to like, as a kid, did you want to visit Springfield? I don't know. It's not a very interesting environment, right? It's not like watching Zootopia and you're like, oh my God, that would be awesome to visit Zootopia, right? Or even watching the Avatar movies. Oh my God, can you imagine visiting Pandora? Simpsons is like a very flat, kind of whatever version of our real world, and it's just not that super interesting.
Come on, OG, you mean to tell me you don't want to take a trip into Lard Lad Donuts?
Yeah, right. I know. I'm good. But yeah, that's a wrap. I think that I think Disney probably could offload some Fox stuff, but keep the biggies though. Obviously, you want to keep the Marvel stuff. You want to keep all the heavy hitters, but there's probably stuff in there that you could probably get rid of that wouldn't really impact them too much. Thank you for the question. Andrew Kellogg, part 1 of 2. Do you think it's time for a track support and new ride vehicle replacement for Walt Disney World's Space Mountain?
Abso-freaking-lutely, Andrew. I am so ready for a complete redo of that. If you all who have not been out to Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, if you thought Matterhorn at Disneyland was rough,
was a backbreaker.
Yeah, so is Space Mountain. And sometimes I feel like Walt Disney World Space Mountain is a little bit more intense than Matterhorn. And the reason why is, even though there are certain instances in the Matterhorn that's in the dark, Space Mountain is completely dark. And unless that you actually know the track layout of what is what, you don't know where those rough edges are going to be, because you can't see anything.
Yeah.
And it's like those very uncomfortable rocket seats. I mean, you don't even have to be a big person. I'm not that real big. I'm not a big guy. It's like I'm 5'7". So, but
you're big where it counts, right, George?
Of course, yeah. I mean, like that's pretty much. That's pretty much what I'm saying, but I guess they get you somewhere.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
it's those restraints, man. You got to watch that third leg.
Oh, I'm telling you, yeah, don't go on Secret Life of Pets over at Universal, man. You won't be able to get that bar down. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, it's like, but yeah, those the restraints, the seats, it's so uncomfortable that yeah, I'm so ready for a redo of Space Mountain.
It needs it.
Yeah.
Well, Disneyland, we had a complete redo. They basically gutted ours and they rebuilt the track and everything back in 2005 for Disneyland's 50th, and it paid off. We have a very smooth Space Mountain out here.
Oh, you do.
Smooth
I love Disneyland Space Mountain. If like, I wouldn't mind like it being a carbon copy of that.
Yeah.
See, if it's going to be the same ride anyway, you know, I don't really mind if it has the same kind of track layout and ride vehicles, as long as I'm comfortable. That's all I care about. Right. There are trips to Walt Disney World that I forgo Space Mountain, just because for how uncomfortable it is. Because after the fact, I've been on Disneyland's, it's like,
yeah, right. Exactly. I tell you one thing though, Hulk's booty ain't fitting on that ride. That's for sure, man. Look at that thing, man. Woo. Yeah, he's gonna have a rough time on Space Mountain for sure. Andrew Kellogg here says, if you can bring one vintage ride at each U.S. Disney park, what would it be? I'll tell you right now, Kellogg, Mr. Kellogg, the People Mover, come back to Disneyland. I'd bring that back. I think that added a lot of kinetic energy to Tomorrowland. Especially after riding it over there at Walt Disney World with the Italiano this past summer. Come on, it's a fantastic experience. I think it would really add a lot to our Tomorrowland. So that would be the one thing that I would bring back. But what about you, George?
A ride that or attraction that I would bring back at Epcot would definitely be Horizons. That attraction is classic Epcot. It's so 80s. It was one of the greats. Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain because it's such an old, outdated, retired attraction. But I mean, I would be happy to see that come back. And in a sense, sort of kind of what they're going to be doing with Test Track, I guess you would call it 3.0, you know, because this is now the third rendition of Test Track that they're incorporating. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to incorporate World of Motion, which was the original ride that Test Track replaced. So I love how they're kind of going back to the roots of the originality of where this ride showcased. So I am glad that they're doing that with Test Track. But for Epcot, it would definitely be Horizons. Yeah, no,
100%. Suave CLT, thoughts on the rumored Luigi's Mansion expansion coming to Epic Universe? Okay, again, we're going to do a video with Seymour Duck this weekend. We're going to break this down, really deep dive into this. But this decision is massively good. It's insanely brilliant. They're going to make so much coin on this. They're going to make so much money on this. Okay, now here's the thing too. There's a lot of creative potential. There we go. Making that money. But they're going to make, here's the thing. There's a lot of creative potential here with a Luigi's Mansion, they say dark ride, whatever. They have in Tokyo, their Monsters Inc. attraction. I think it's called Hide and Seek with Boo or something like that. And you have like little flashlights, right?
Yes, correct.
See, technology like that for a Luigi's Mansion, you're going through the mansion, you got the little flashlights, and it's an interactive ride. Maybe you shine flashlights on a ghost and it goes away and you get a point for it or whatever. Stuff like that would be really cool, I think, for families. I think it's brilliant. I am so on board with this. I am telling you right now.
I am too. Yeah. And honestly, I'll even go one step further because you know me, I go balls to the wall. I say take that, like that ride and go, hide and go peek or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember the name exactly.
You kind of have like the flashlight where you shine it on the ghost, sort of like how you do in the video game, but also have the same kind of technology as Mystic Manor.
Oh, that's interesting.
So if they kind of have that combined type of force, and I know Mystic Manor is Disney, but if Universal can kind of adapt to their own notion of that technology, man, that'd be, as Kaylee would say it, that'd be one banger of an attraction.
I'm telling you, and we're gonna do a big video this weekend with Seymour about this because he's our Nintendo guy. I'm telling you, this is really smart on Universal's part. This is a really smart way of kind of expanding upon that Super Mario Brothers IP. In a really, really cool way. And Luigi's awesome, man. I love when Luigi gets a little bit of love. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Come on. Also, it'd be kind of cool if they actually made this a Omni mover as a little bit of like a nod to Disney's Haunted Mansion. I think it'd be kind of a cool little, little nod,
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be kind of fun. But I'm a Disney shill. I'm a Disney fanboy, so that's where my mind's always at.
That's
you know what I'm saying? I don't know what the Universal creative guys and gals. I don't know if they're on board. You know what I'm saying? But Lord Jonathan is in the house. Lord, thank you for joining us, sir. Question: I hear you talk about a 20th Century Fox area in Hollywood Studios. Will it include Anastasia part of it? I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. See, my whole thing though, Jonathan, is like if you're gonna do it, at least my mindset with a Foxland is the existence of a Foxland would be there to give Disney more permission to be a little edgier. So the kind of properties I'd rather see in Foxland would be stuff that is a little too gritty for like a Disney park, or like a Castle Park or one of those kind of parks. So I'd want to see stuff like Alien and Predator and like Planet of the Apes. A little edge to it, you know what I'm saying? You can even throw some X-Men in there or something. But like that's the thing. Anastasia is a little too close to the Disney princess thing, and they can kind of do that for other, Go ahead, George.
Now, I do agree with you as far as like with the edginess goes, because that kind of ties a little bit more into Fox. However, the only reason why I would include Anastasia in this kind of manner is because Anastasia would fit the bill for like a Broadway theater type of show.
There you go.
I feel like that would kind of do well in Hollywood studios, because I feel like there needs to be more entertainment value when it comes to the studios, since a lot of the traditional, the animation building, the backlot tour, the Osborne family spectacle of lights, all that got taken away from the studios. So I feel like adding more live entertainment would definitely benefit this park. And I think honestly, if you were to incorporate Anastasia, that would be a phenomenal Broadway style production.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea, George. Great idea. Lord Jonathan continues. Should Disney do a classic movie land in Hollywood studios inspired by the great movie ride? Jonathan, my God, that's a fantastic idea, man. I mean, and this is the thing. Now that Disney owns, you have so much you can work with. I mean, we just talked about Fox. Fox's classic movie library. I mean, you can dip into that. You can dip into Disney's library. There's so much you can do with this idea. This is actually kind of brilliant. I don't know. I'm all in on this. I love it. What do you think, George?
Absolutely. I mean, I personally feel like this should have been the route they should have taken with the great movie ride inside the Grauman's Chinese Theater, because that's where the classic movies, reside. They hold a lot of value into the Grauman's Chinese Theater. And again, nothing against Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I do love that attraction. I love it even more at Disneyland inside Toontown. I think it's more appropriate there. But
I must have hit that track switch!
I do love it at Walt Disney World, but I just wish that they would have incorporated it somewhere else and not necessarily in the Grauman's Chinese Theater.
That's the thing. It's like, because it's so weird to me, because you have, with the great movie ride, you have the ability to literally swap out those scenes with the new thing. Or obviously they're animatronic and stuff, so you can't swap it out like too regularly. But what an opportunity Disney would have had with that. They could have put an Avatar scene in there or something. They could, you can constantly, or maybe every 4 or 5 years, or maybe every even decade, add a new property in there, and it basically resurges the interest in that attraction. It's ever changing, and it just, I don't know why they did that, George. And they have all this room, the blessing of size over there in Florida, and they decide to do that. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah,
it just doesn't. I really don't get it. Mr. CSRS. Apple buying Disney would be a break glass in case of emergency situation. So what would that situation be? Basically, CSRS, I think you're right. I do think that this is a emergency kind of fail safe in case. I think that because Bob Iger used to be on Apple's board of directors up until recently, like 3 or 4 years ago. Disney has a close relationship with Apple and Tim Cook. Basically the situation would be if the stock price just craters, what I'm saying? We're talking $45 a share, and there's serious movement on these outside companies trying to snatch up Disney. I think in that situation, I think they would move to be swallowed by Apple. We're not there yet. We're not even close to there yet. I mean, it's stabilizing, what I'm saying? It's not the end of the world.
And I personally feel like Disney has made leaps and bounds, made ups and downs throughout its whole entire history as a company. I personally, and I could be wrong, but I personally don't think we would ever get to that point. But I love how Disney has a safety net with their relationship with Apple, that God forbid if anything were to go down, they have a scapegoat.
Yeah, I believe that, and I think our good friend Alia has mentioned the same thing. Alia Aloha, who's a contributor on the channel, she's mentioned that to us many times, that she thinks that Apple is the kind of the backup plan just in case. And I think Apple, if any other company were to acquire Disney, Apple sort of has a similar mission statement and philosophy when it comes to brand. Apple is a premium product, right? They pride themselves in a quality product. They're very protective of their brand. They're overpriced. So just like Disney, you know what I'm saying? No, but in all seriousness, I do think that they would mesh very well. If you had to do it, they are the company to do that. And then plus I've even mentioned, like with Apple, like the technology and the R&D, the research and development that Apple could bring to the table for things like Imagineering, coming up with new technology for various attractions. Maybe, you have this new thing, the Apple Vision, which is like an augmented reality. Maybe Apple can do something with that in the parks, in terms of like kind of like similar to like what Universal has done with like Mario Kart, but like take it to like the next level. There's a lot of potential with Apple. But here's the thing, as much as I love Apple, I still want Disney to remain independent,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. CSRS. Would a way to fix Avengers Campus without removing it be to expand behind tower 4 acres of land with 2 more catch-all tape rides, keep the current area as Avengers Miniland, and replace Web Slingers with a Avengers Family Dark Ride that's an interactive shooter? I mean, that's a possibility. I think that, like, I don't know. See, what I would do, Avengers, I think, needs more than just an interactive shooter. I got to be honest with you. That's a big franchise in and of itself, the Avengers. If you're going to make an Avengers attraction, it has to be like a Rise of the Resistance or like an Indiana Jones, like this big epic thing.
I even think that's where Web Slingers even went wrong, because even with Spider-Man being a very heavy hitter of a franchise itself, to kind of subdue it to a D attraction. Me personally, I would have done the Ant-Man route with the shooter, sort of like how they did over at I can't remember which one has Ant-Man. I don't know if it was Paris or Hong Kong, but I would have went the Ant-Man route, because it's a Marvel IP that is popular, but not necessarily, like a heavy hitter that it can sustain a D ticket attraction.
Absolutely. And maybe here says, maybe he's in the house. Maybe here says it's copium since he took away the Lisa drop. Oh, no, the Lisa drop it didn't go anywhere. I forgot the Lisa drop, maybe.
Give me the drop, some money, dropping on my money, drop some money.
We love our...
You got to have the OG on the OG.
You got to have the OG money drop on OG55. Yeah, we love Lisa. But we also, my bias is Jenny, though. And I had to add the queen onto the list, and we got a money drop with Jenny now too, so it's pretty cool. CSRS here continues. How likely is it the villain's Blue Sky Land from Magic Kingdom comes to Disneyland in that park's Disneyland Forward spot? That's possible. I mean, that's possible. But here's the thing, CSRS. I think that with Disneyland Forward, I think at least near term, I think they're thinking more DCA expansion into that symbol lot. I think that's the priority. Disneyland, we talked about this, right, George, with Danny from Five Fires, and just ask Danny. He was saying too, like that whole end, the expansion pad over there on Disneyland's side is a little more complicated. There's a lot more going on over there with like the hotels and things like that. And I think he's right. I think they focus more on DCA. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, CSRS. No, absolutely not. If there's a will, there's a way. We've seen it happen with Galaxy's Edge, right? They took away backstage. They did whatever they could to fit that in. I just think right now, I think the focus will be DCA. And I think DCA needs it a lot more. DCA hasn't really gotten like a lot of love. Avengers Campus is a nice little modest addition, but again, it replaced something though,
I think with the villains, if they were to do it in Disneyland, I do think, DCA is going to be the front runner spotlight with Disneyland Forward. But I think in time, there's a possibility, that that northeast area of Fantasyland with the Fantasyland Theater and moving down to where the subs and the motorboat area, even possibly even Autopia, they may even shorten up Tomorrowland and just kind of expand on an adjacent land to Fantasyland, which could potentially be the villains.
And that would make sense. There's more money more coin to be made with the Fantasyland properties. The Princess thing is like $1 billion franchise. You know what I'm saying? The villains are huge. You can do so much more with that fantasy theme. What are you going to put in Tomorrowland? Like, really, honestly, what IP right now is hot that would fit in Tomorrowland? And people will say, well, Wall-E, and I love Wall-E, but it's not coming close to like what Frozen can do or the villains can do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'd be okay with them kind of shortening Tomorrowland a little bit and expanding Fantasyland. I think it actually would be probably a smart idea. CSRS, Mice Chat. By the way, shout out to Mice Chat. They do phenomenal work over there. Big fan of Dusty. Yes. Awesome guy. And actually Andy Castro, shout out to him too, with his Dateline Disney updates. They do a lot of great work over there. So yeah, shout out to Mice Chat for sure. But Mice Chat here says, or CSRS here says that Mice Chat sources seem to believe that the Avatar land for Disneyland Resort is destined for a DC replacing Hollywood land. Why do you think they are choosing that area instead of the Symbol Lot? That's the rumor. And Mice Chat does have good sources. I think that, I don't know, man. I think it's a bad idea.
I think that's yeah. I mean, even if the sources are true or very much relevant,
or accurate, yeah.
I just can't see walking down Buena Vista Street, turning to my left, and then there's Pandora. Like, at least in Animal Kingdom, when it's cohesive with the nature, with the organic, feeling of like a different outside planet of the mythological term, where that you still have to cross over a bridge into the park of Animal Kingdom, and you still feel kind of cut off in Pandora. Where in DCA, if you put it there, as I said, it's wide open. So it's like as soon as you walk into Buena Vista Street and you're right by Carthay Circle, and then you're going to see Pandora. I don't see the correlation to that.
It's weird. There's a lot of issues with that. Like, number one, it doesn't really make sense in California. And I'm not one of these like theme. I don't get like all Karen about like the theming stuff, right? A lot of people are like, oh, what does Cars Land have to do with DCA? It's Route 66. It has a lot to do with DCA. Oh, what's Pixar Pier? It's a pier. It's California. It makes sense. Like, I'm pretty loose and pretty forgiving when it comes to theme. But Pandora, I don't know how you tie that into California Adventure. I mean, unless they change the theme, which is maybe possible, I don't know. That's a stretch for me. And the other thing too is I am a big red car trolley guy. You can't have the red car trolley go through Pandora. That makes no sense. Like,
and honestly, it took them like forever and a day to bring them back. So to bring them back just to remove them. It's, I don't know, not a good call.
If you have to shoehorn Avatar into DCA, put it in the Symbol Lot, give it, because Symbol Lot is like big enough definitely to fit a Pandora. You can definitely fit a Pandora there with some room to spare even, from what I understand. So I would do it. And even if it's not the exact, I mean, obviously, even if it's not the exact same size or whatever, if you have to scale it down even, that's fine. But you can do more over there. I just don't know how you tie that to the California theme, unless it's like some sort of like space facility in California, and like you enter this.
That's where I feel like that they kind of dropped the ball with Avengers Campus. Like, I know like why they did it. It fits well. Like you say, the Silicon Valley type of,
like tech campus, like Google campus.
But at the end of the day, that's exactly what it looks like when I walk into Avengers Campus. The theme is just for me. Like, it's nothing special. It's nothing that blows my mind. Quite frankly, I only walk through Avengers Campus as a walkthrough just to get from one side of the park to the other. I don't really hang around in there unless I am going on Web Slingers, which is very far in between. And if I'm like right next to where if I'm going on Mission Breakout, because I'll go on Mission Breakout any day before Web Slingers.
Yeah. No, I have to part ways with you on that one.
Yeah,
But just
yeah,
because
of course,
I'm not into like Mission Breakout is a great attraction for DCA. I think it was a smart retheme. Joe Rohde crushed it. Super popular. It's just not for me. It's just way too crazy, dude. It doesn't stop. Like the minute you get in that thing, it's like just nonstop. You know?
It's nonstop. Yeah.
And I didn't feel that way though with Tower of Terror. Like I did Tower of Terror all the time. I was fine.
And I still would like for you to try Walt Disney World's Tower of Terror. I know that you couldn't this last time because of your head injury and everything, but I think it would probably do you much better because it's a slower amp up to that final it's thrill.
It's paced out better. Like the pacing with Mission Breakout, it's like a sugar rush. It's just too much at once, you know?
Yeah,
it's crazy. CSRS here says, once Disneyland Forward is approved, how long do you think it'll be before we see groundbreaking on the revived Eastern Gateway and rerouting the monorail beam, which ties into if Avatar is indeed replacing Hollywoodland? What could we expect this troubled remaining area of DCA 1.0 to go down for construction work to begin on Avatar? If that is the plan, and my chat's correct, go ahead.
Sorry, really quick, OG. CSRS, I just have to commend you on to the fact that you said once Disneyland Forward gets greenlit, not if. So right on.
Exactly.
So go ahead, OG. I apologize.
So it seems like that the Avatar stuff is probably a priority right now because Avatar is making $1 bajillion in the theaters. Marvel isn't right now, you know? So I think they're fast tracking the Avatar stuff. So I think that if or when Disneyland Forward gets approved and if it's going into this Hollywoodland area, I think you'll see it within a year or two. They'll probably make the announcement about what it's going to be and all that. Within a year or two, they'll start breaking ground on all that stuff. I think the reason why, or at least part of the reason why the details on the Avatar experience is so vague is because they are waiting for Disneyland Forward to know what they're going to do. They have to know what they're playing with, like what's on the chessboard before they can really plan and map it out. You know what I'm saying? And so if Disneyland Forward gets knocked down and the city doesn't approve it, well, that changes the equation on where you put Pandora or potentially, you know? So they're waiting for that. And once they get that, then they can start to decide on where it's going to be. So, but if it goes in Hollywoodland, like my chat's reporting, a rumor, you know, that's going to go over there within a year or so, I think they'll start working on that. I think they really want to get Avatar in there. Number one, because it's making $1 bajillion at the box office. And number two, Bob Iger's legacy is tied to buying Fox for $70 billion. He needs to justify that price tag to save his legacy. What do you do to do that? You build more Fox stuff in the parks, and you can point to that as part of the acquisition and part of the success of buying Fox. So, yeah, a lot going on there. CSRS. If NBC Universal gets Warner Brothers and Paramount instead gets sold to a tech company, who do you think that would be? So Universal gets Warner Brothers and Paramount gets sold to a tech company. Who do you think that would be? You know, I don't know, CSRS, but the word on the street right now, and pretty heavy talks, is that Skydance is going to acquire Paramount, and they're pretty advanced in the talks right now. I don't think a tech company will grab Paramount. I think Skydance is probably going to end up with it. I really do. But what do you think, George? What tech company would you see buying Paramount? Maybe Apple, Amazon? Who would you see? I can't see any of these. Amazon already bought MGM. I can't see them buying Paramount now.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. Like, I don't really, that's a tough one. Like, I don't really know if, because it seems like Paramount is like the wild horse, so to speak. Like, it could pretty much like meander anywhere.
Yeah, I mean it could, but I think right now it's heavily pointing into Skydance's direction, which is actually where John Lasseter is right now. So that would be interesting how that whole thing works with animation, you know. But yeah, I think Skydance is going to take it. I really do. I don't think it'll be Warner Brothers. I think it'll be Skydance. But again, this stuff changes on a dime. You ever watch Succession and all this stuff and see how this stuff changes? I'm telling you. So today it's Skydance. Tomorrow it could be somebody else. You never know. This guy right here. Have you heard of this guy, George? This Falcione character? I don't know.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. It says here, thank you for your questions so far. You guys entered the queue early. Love it. I love it. I love when people rope drop the questions because I just love coming in and seeing all the questions. It's fantastic.
I actually wrote this in last night, and I thought that I would be like beating the crowds, and there was already 25 questions ahead from when I was writing this, so it was absolutely amazing.
It's banging. We love it. We absolutely love it. He says here, you say here, we're also going to touch upon D23 and Tortilla Joe's closing, so add questions on those topics as well. And we do have actually a D23 question later from Elizabeth Gates, I believe. But George, let's talk a little bit about this. D23, you're the D23 guy. Take the stage, man.
Absolutely. So yesterday, Disney had announced finally, which they had already announced, that the D23, it was formerly the D23 Expo. Now it's the D23 Ultimate Fan Event. It's going to be held August 9th, 10th, and 11th of this year in Anaheim. And yesterday they made the breaking news that tickets will go on sale on March 26th, which that's about around the time that they had mentioned that it was going to be around springtime. They did not mention any pricing or tiering thus far, but it should be coming very soon. I'm anticipating what they're going to end up doing is possibly having purchase add-ons, sort of like Genie Plus. So you buy your initial ticket, and depending on what you want to see and how much you want to see, especially for the bigger presentations that's going to be held at the Honda Center, that you'll have to probably pay an additional upcharge if you want to get into those presentations. That's just my personal thought on it. I haven't heard of any sources that have confirmed that or denied it. That's just what I think, because I think it's going to be a real mess if they don't.
Confirmed or denied, just like the Miami Mall alien, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, man. So, yeah, it's interesting. The D23 fan event is crazy, and we're going to get into it because they're expanding in other areas of the world now, like Brazil and things like that, which we have. George had an excellent theory on that. Well, I want to wait till Elizabeth her question though, because she asked you specifically about that. But yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that whole thing pans out. Tortilla Joe's closing. Here's the thing with Tortilla Joe's. I think I ate there maybe once or twice, and in the 20-year time span, 20 plus years it's been there, I probably have only eaten there twice. Am I sad about it? No. I'm not. I have no nostalgia for it at all. We'll see what they put in its place. But what are your thoughts, George? Were you a big Tortilla Joe's guy, or do you just not care?
I did go a couple times. I think it's just interesting of how it's been there for 20 years. Like one of the original pieces of like, part of the Disneyland resort. But however, I think, times have changed. It's time to kind of move on. But I mean, it's like a bittersweet type of moment, but I have eaten there several times.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see what is to come of it.
I think they're making a lot of smart moves with Downtown Disney. I think bulldozing the AMC theater and putting a bunch of other retail and dining in that spot is a better utilization of that space. It opens Downtown Disney up a little bit. It's not just like a walkway now. You can go to your left, and there's actually going to be some other stuff there too. It's a little bit just a little more expansive, right? Yeah. So very, very good. The only thing that is weird though, we still don't know what's going to happen with ESPN Zone. And we talked about this again with Danny from Five Fires. We don't know what's going to happen to ESPN Zone. We don't know what's going to happen to Rainforest Cafe. But Earl of Sandwich, there's like a trailer out front of the old Rainforest Cafe where Earl of Sandwich is going, which lends me to believe that they're probably going to bulldoze those buildings soon or something, because why wouldn't Earl's move into one of those if they were keeping those buildings in the short term?
Correct.
Right. So that's a little weird. So we'll have to kind of see. But overall, really good stuff happening over there, I think, for Downtown Disney. I'm really excited about Din Tai Fung, which I've eaten there a couple times. Obviously not that one. It's not open yet, but I've eaten out in that franchise before. They have really good food. Good stuff coming. We just need, I think, a really good Disney themed bar in there, like a haunted mansion bar or something.
Something like overall themed to kind of tie it into Disney.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so Mr. Matthew Murr, give me one moment. I'm gonna remove George's for a second here. Mr. Matthew Murr here says, let me see here. Won't be able to join because it'll be real late when I'm here, but major question here. Have any of you ever reached the point of wanting to withdraw from the Disney fan base altogether? Not at all. Not at all. I'm not going to let anybody, bother me to that point where I'm leaving a fan base. I love this stuff. I've been a fan of Disney my whole life. If someone doesn't like me or the fan base in general gets really toxic or whatever, there's always people that you love in that fan base that are cool. We have, like everyone here, we have a great community here at OG55. I love talking to all of you. We're that fan base, So if the rest of the fan base is toxic and crazy and whatever, fine, let them be, but I'll be here with all of you talking shop and having a good time. Now, here's the thing though. If it affects your mental health though, if you're going into this and it's really, really hitting you hard, sometimes you have to step back. I know people that, that have kind of stepped back from the social media thing because it was really affecting maybe their anxiety, their depression. Sometimes you have to do that, I've never been to that point personally. And, I really enjoy talking to people about this stuff, even if I disagree with you, I think it's fun. So yeah, Matthew, I'm not going to leave the Disney fandom just because there's people out there that are, being ball bags. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I'm good. And every fandom has ball bags. You know what I'm saying? Every fandom has jerks or whatever. So it just comes with the territory in terms of social media and everything now. But Matthew here continues. Secondly, we're hoping to get Cinderella's voice actress, Jennifer Hale, on the show around February or March. Just need to clear it with her. Next Friday is a full breakdown of Once Upon a Studio 2.0. Yeah, we are trying to do that. Matthew is mentioning here that we're trying to get the voice actress, Jennifer Hale, on the show. That is absolutely true. We'll see if we can get that done, hopefully pretty soon. Next Friday, the 19th, Matthew will be on the show. We're going to be talking about his version of Once Upon a Studio 2.0, which I think you guys and gals will be very, very interested in seeing. He has a great ideas with that. It's really, really fun. We kind of do this whole armchair imagineering of that short. It's a really fun time. So check it out next Friday. Matthew Murr continues. Another major question for you fellas. Have you ever felt any genuine ill will towards Sony, Comcast, Viacom, or Time Warner? I think the venom against any company should be avoided whenever possible. No, I've never personally felt any serious animosity toward any studio. I do think that's weird behavior. When someone's that upset over a studio, I don't know. You don't like their content, then don't watch the content. You don't think that Disney's making good movies or they don't have good TV shows, then don't watch it. You don't like their theme parks, don't go. I think it's pretty easy. You vote with your wallet. So no, I haven't had any ill will towards any of these companies. I talk a lot about Universal here on the show. A lot of my issues with Universal isn't even Universal. It's a double standard in the fandom that annoys me more than anything that Universal is doing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, Matthew, I've never had any ill will towards any of these studios. They're just, they're doing their thing. They're just trying to make money and trying to create content. That's all they're trying to do. So I think it's weird when people are super mad at these studios. Anyway, Matthew Murr here says, one other question. Do you think Once Upon a Studio could be the onset of a House of Mouse style TV series showing all the characters interacting around the studio building? That's an interesting idea, Matthew. Actually, House of Mouse, for those of you that are not aware, was sort of this very I guess you would call it meta, right? Where all the Disney characters are in this club environment. It was Mickey and they had characters from everything, Peach Dragon, Merlin, everything. Very similar to Once Upon a Studio, except Once Upon a Studio is in the studio, not a club environment, But this is a good idea, Matthew. I don't know. I'd be down for something like this to kind of have maybe a series on Disney Plus with that Once Upon a Studio sort of, concept. Make it real high quality though, like House of Mouse. It was a good show, but the quality was very television. You know what I'm saying? I think with Disney Plus, I think you go in there with like the same quality of Once Upon a Studio, and you can do the whole hand-drawn animation thing with like live action. That's interesting. I would be very much on board with that. Very, very cool idea, Mr. Murr. BJ Vincent. This question concerns the trackless ride and the Omnimover track system. Don't get me wrong, both systems are very cool, but with new patents that Disney has filed for possible new ride systems, like one Disney patent that outlines the use of a robotic tool to transfer a patient compartment from one ride system to a secondary ride system. Oh, that's pretty cool. I wasn't aware of that. Do you feel Disney should start perfecting and introducing new rides with these new patents they have, and or updating trackless and Omnimover track ride system with updating technology like what companies such as Dynamic Attractions, Oceaneering, etc. are offering? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Disney, this whole company was sort of built on the foundation of innovation, 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 right? So we have this really cool trackless ride system right now with Rise of the Resistance and Mickey and Minnie's and this Zootopia attraction over in Shanghai. Why not go in there and sort of revolutionize that even further? Look towards these outside third parties and get ideas in terms of how you can even make that even cooler. I'm all for that. I think they should be doing that. They should be always looking for ways to improve and to blow our minds with these attractions. So yeah, BJ, I think they'd be really, really cool to do that. I think that they should be doing that, and we'll see. Mr. Matthew Murr. If you were to do another Walt Disney Pictures logo in the next few years, what would it look like compared to the current one? Oh man, Matthew, that's interesting. I don't know, man. I really like the current one, to be honest with you. I think it was really, I like how you kind of pan over, was it London and Peter Pan, and then you see the train and all that. I love that. I don't really know how you can really top that. I think that's like quintessential Disney right there. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's pretty damn near perfect. I think I'd probably keep it the way it is, to be honest with you. Let me see here. BJ Vincent, this is a follow-up question. I believe along with new Disney rides should also introduce new ride systems. Seeing how Universal has patented the Boom Coaster ride system being used on the Super Nintendo World's new Donkey Kong Minecart roller coaster. It is based on, but it's more simplified version of the I can't pronounce that coaster. If Disney had any common sense, they would consider getting John Hogg, inventor of the cantilevered concept, to perfect the same system, and may also want to think about doing something like coming out with amazing ride based around a new patent ride system of their own. Disney, in my opinion, is relying on the trackless ride system. Do you feel Disney should develop new rides with their own new system that are being used in the foreign park? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I would love to see, honestly, I would love to see Disney, if they can, incorporate some of that Donkey Kong coaster technology. I mean, can you imagine like a minecart attraction like Donkey Kong, but themed at like Indiana Jones, where you jump the track? That'd be kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's issues there though, because Universal's already doing that. But I would love to see them kind of dip into that. Absolutely. And again, BJ, like I said before, it's always good to look at what's going on globally with other companies and what have you, and pull inspiration from that. Even take a third party and bring them into the fold to help you create new and newer and crazier concepts. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to actually, Matthew, we'll come back to this. I'm going to wait till George gets back for this one. And Elizabeth Gates, I'm also going to wait for George to come back on this one, because these two, I think he's going to want to be a part of that. So I'll come back to these two. I promise. I absolutely promise. GooGam32, unpopular opinion, but I think screens are better than animatronics. They're cheaper, don't have to be maintained as much, and aren't limited to the same physical restraints that animatronics are. Here's my thoughts on that. GooGam, I respectfully disagree. I think both approaches should exist. I think that this all or nothing is anti-creative, right? So I think there's a place for animatronics, and I think there's a place for screen-based stuff. And I think that if we have these tools in our toolbox, why not utilize them? So I don't want to see anything where it's like we're just focusing on one thing or we're just focusing on the other thing. Like, let's play with everything. It's kind of how I feel, honestly, about animation, you know, where it's like people always advocate for like, well, you know, let's just do hand-drawn animation now. It's like, no, okay, let's do hand-drawn animation when hand-drawn animation is appropriate for that movie, but let's do CGI when it's appropriate for that movie. Like a Wreck-It Ralph, CGI is perfect for a movie like Wreck-It Ralph. But like maybe like the fairy tales, it's a little more appropriate to do maybe like more of a hand-drawn animation style, right? Same with theme park attractions. You know, you don't want to limit yourself creatively. You want to be able to, you know, go, hey, you know what? We can do this. We can do this with animatronics, but we can add projections and screens here and there to kind of like, you know, kind of plus the overall experience. I think that's the best approach to all of this. So one isn't necessarily better than the other. It just depends on how you're using it. And I think that it just depends on the theme of the attraction and what have you. So yeah, interesting point though, Googam. Interesting point. Kaylee with another banger question here says, would you rather swim in Bay Lake or the rivers of America? Oh man. Oh, Bay Lake or the rivers of America? That's tough. Probably Bay Lake. I think I'm probably going to go Bay Lake. I don't know why, but the rivers of America, I don't know. It seems dirtier. I don't know. I'd rather do Bay Lake, honestly. Bay Lake. Thank you, Kaylee. Appreciate you as always. Candy Camper, friend of the channel, Mr. Candid Camper. Do you think Disneyland made a mistake not turning Hungry Bear into Tiana's restaurant? Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a mistake, but I do think there was a lot more opportunity with that spot, right? Here's the thing. When it comes to Tiana's, I think what you could have done, and I've said this a lot of times on the channel, but I think what you could have done is you could have had, if you would have put maybe Tiana's where Hungry Bear is, you could have made a situation where it's close enough to the attraction. Maybe there could have been something like something that goes over the walkway and you actually eat in the ride, like Blue Bayou. You know, we have a food-based attraction with Tiana's Bayou Adventure. It would be amazing to be seated and eating and seeing the logs go by as you're eating your meal. I mean, that's so perfect for a ride like Tiana's. And if you incorporate the Hungry Bear, you could probably do something like that. Obviously, you would have to expand it out physically, but you know, they can do that. They can handle that, you know, but that's what I would have done, Candid Camper. I mean, I think that was a missed opportunity. I don't hate where it currently is because it's all part of New Orleans essentially. So it doesn't really matter that much, but I don't know. Yeah, I see what you're saying though, Candid. And I have OCD. So it not being right there next to the Tiana ride is a bit of an issue for me too with my OCD. I have the same issue with Star Tours being outside of the Galaxy's Edge, Star Wars land. I think it's kind of weird. I don't know, but yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity for sure. Absolutely. Mr. Matthew Murr, part 1 of 2. Question incoming. Do you think Disney was more conservative? And it's talking about, well, let me see. Do you think Disney was more conservative or progressive under Walt, or was it too American to be seen as either? I know Walt himself was a conservative, but that might not necessarily mean the company's overall mindset was conservative up until 1966. I think Walt was both. I think he was conservative with his kind of, his love for America, the Americana and all that. But he was also progressive for his day as well. With Song of the South and stuff. He really rallied for the actor for the Academy Award and what have you. Like he was, this was very progressive at that time. So he had elements of both, I believe. You know, he did have a lot of conservative aspects to him, but he was also Walt was very forward thinking as well, and he did have some progressiveness in there. So I don't think he was completely one or the other, but yeah, interesting. I don't know. And here's the other thing too, is like you ask here, Matthew, was Disney, let me go up here a little bit, was Disney as a company more conservative or progressive? At that time under Walt, I think it was a mixed bag. I really do. Look, Walt had things about him that were very conservative, right? He didn't really support the unions. He didn't like unions, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, there were progressive things where, like, even like with like Mary Blair, you know, she wasn't just an ink and paint girl, like she was like part of his inner circle and what have you. So there were elements in there that were kind of progressive, you know? So yeah, a little bit of a mixed bag for me. In terms of Walt and overall the company, in terms of, you know, politics and what have you. Mr. Matthew Murr continues, which do you think is crueler, just wanting Disney to go out of business or wanting Hollywood as a whole to die? I don't know what is crueler, Matthew. I'll tell you what, though, again, this kind of goes to the other question about animosity towards studios. I think this is weird. I think this is when people wish a company to go bankrupt or to go under. I think that's weird behavior. There's a lot of things I don't like in this world. There's a lot of things I don't really care about. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm not sitting here going, oh man, I hope that company goes out of business. Like, why? Like, what pleasure would I get out of a company going out of business? That's a weird thing. That's weird behavior. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. No, I mean, I think it's bizarre when people wish that Disney would go out of business. You know, why? Because you don't like Bob Iger, who's going to leave anyway? Or why? Because you think they're woke? Like, this stuff is like a flash in the pan. This stuff is like here today, gone tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? We're already seeing a shift in Disney in terms of the politics. They're de-woking or whatever you want to call it. They're moderating, you know what I'm saying? Like in 5 years, it'll probably be very different anyway. In 10 years, it'll be very different. So you want this 100-year-old company to go out of business because you don't like the situation of today. I think that's extremely short-sighted, and I think that it's just stupid, you know. And like I said before, it's like there's a lot of things in this world that I don't care for, or maybe companies or whatever that have taken a direction that I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna give them my money anymore. But I'm not gonna sit there and like wish them out of business. Like, why would I do? Like, that's weird. This is weird behavior. Really weird. Jason Hill, D23 Expo is known for unveiling projects. In your opinion, which announcement reveal from this year's Expo has the potential to have the biggest impact on the future for Disney parks, and why? Oh man, Jason, this is a tough one, man. So has the potential for the biggest impact of the future of Disney parks. Well, I think in terms of Disneyland Resort, I think what Disney decides to do, if we get an announcement at the D23 Expo about Disneyland Forward and this massive expansion that they want to do, right? I think anything along those lines, I think is a game changer, at least for Anaheim. I don't know about the Disney parks in general, but it's a game changer for Anaheim because that is the dawn of a new day. That we're drastically expanding the Disneyland resort, and I think that that would just change everything. Like back in 2001. Oh, hold on one sec. George is back. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you. So sorry it took longer than expected.
No, you're fine, dude. You're fine. Did you wash your hands? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah, I'm all good.
So, no, we're just talking about. Jason Hill has a great question here, and he says D23 Expo is known for unveiling exciting projects. In your opinion, which announcement or reveal from this year's Expo has the potential to have the biggest impact on the future of Disney parks, and why? I was saying that I don't know about like the parks in general, but in terms of like Disneyland, I think if they go in on this Disneyland Forward thing and their expansion plans and really show us how ambitious they are with Anaheim, I think that will change the game for Anaheim drastically. You know what I'm saying? Because you're taking this resort, and you're essentially, Daddy Josh said, you have enough room here to build another Disneyland. You know,
See, this is where they missed the opportunity where Josh D'Amaro dropped the ball. Disneyland Forward should have been the what if, the shoulda, coulda, woulda.
right.
They should not have utilized that with every little project of saying, oh, well, this is what we could do in Animal Kingdom. This is what we could do in Magic Kingdom.
Right.
They should have saved that for Disneyland Forward, because that way people would have known if this is going to be a 30-plus year project, it's normal for it to be a what if. So they can give us the possibilities of what
Right.
it could be throughout the years. That I would be okay with. But now if they start doing that route now with Disneyland Forward, Josh D'Amaro kind of tarnished that notion that I think it could still work, but they're going to have to give us something that is green lit.
Yeah.
Then I think they can give us the what ifs for Disneyland Forward. I
Yeah.
think if they show us the potential of Disneyland Forward, I think you're right. I think that would be a major game change, not even just for Disneyland, but just for the company in general, because it's something on a wide scale.
Now, what about Florida? You're a Florida guy. What could they announce in Florida that would change the game for Walt Disney World? New
I think-
monorails?
I think, and God, we need them. I think honestly, a major expansion with Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
Because even to our own, popular belief that Magic Kingdom is the weakest right now out of the four parks for us in comparison to Disneyland Park, it is
Right.
still number one in the world of the most visited theme park. And I feel like that if they were to add more capacity to that park and give us more to do by a major overhaul, by adding several additional lands, attractions, what have you, such as, more so to be more specific, the Beyond Big Thunder project, I feel like that would be a major game change for Walt Disney World.
Yeah, no, agreed, 100%. Matthew Moore here says, can you see Disney's Magical Express ever returning post Iger? Or do you think all of that, even without either Bob's, is now a thing of the past? What do you think, George? This is more your forte.
A great question, Matthew, by the way, and thanks for joining, brother. Always glad to see you, coming from the UK representing. I was actually just mentioning this, that I feel like with a lot of the original parks that are coming back to Walt Disney World, really the last part of the leg is Magical Express. Right. And I feel like if they were to bring Magical Express back, or some form of it, to get people to and from the airport to the resort and vice versa, Disney will be golden. And I really think, honestly, they really need to strongly consider that. And again, it may be irrelevant, it may be small, but you know what? That may be something they may incorporate into D23. I think, honestly, all eyes are going to be on this year's D23 more than ever, because even what we were talking about before with Peltz and what have you, with the board shakeup and what have you, they're going to need to make major announcements that is going to change the game. Well, and we actually
and for Daddy Josh himself, you can't. This is the third expo. We have D23, Destination D, and now this one. If this is the third time he pulls that maybe, could, would, should stuff, it's his fans are going to be done.
Yeah.
He
He
can't
has
do
to
that.
come up with something. He cannot. And before we get to Elizabeth Gates' question, which is a phenomenal question, by the way, kind of tying into D23, Disney had announced that they are going to showcase certain aspects of the event on Disney Plus. So
Yes.
there's going to be live, and I had mentioned this, and not to pat myself on the shoulder, but I'll do it anyway. I had mentioned this almost like a year ago when I said I would love for them to incorporate some of the D23 presentations live into the streaming service.
Right.
And I think that is a major game changer. Plus, for the people who can't afford to go or can't get tickets, can't afford to fly, what have you, travel arrange, whatever, if they pay for that premium price for Disney Plus, you could still be part of the action. And I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, that's the Disney flywheel working in a smart way. that you would take the D23 Expo stuff, put that, I think it's it's gonna be live streamed, right? Live streamed on Disney Plus. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. All the nerds are going to be tuning in. You know what I'm saying? All the nerds. Hey, we're going to be at the expo. So maybe we'll be on Disney Plus, you know?
We might be on Disney Plus, but now that's an extra charge premium is a must. If you see the OG55 crew live on Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So Elizabeth Gates here, a friend of the channel, says, what's up with the Brazil D23 expansion? George, we were talking pre-show about this, and you had a very interesting theory about this. Go ahead, sir. What is your theory about this? I think you're onto something with that.
So when Disney also made this announcement along with the live streaming on Disney Plus, and the dates for when the tickets are going on sale to the public, they had mentioned that there's going to be a separate D23 fan event that's going to be held in Brazil later in the year in November. And immediately when I saw that, I found was quite interesting because they did hold a D23 Expo event in Japan several years ago. And I'm thinking, what is the correlation of having it in Brazil? Well, I have a funny feeling, even just with the US D23 event, I have a feeling Encanto is going to play a huge major factor into the park's future. And possibly even with streaming, maybe a sequel to Encanto, maybe a series. And of course, the highly anticipated rumor that we're all speculating that Encanto is coming to Disney's Animal Kingdom because it was showcased primetime for the Disney 100 special. And also, too, again, Encanto mixed in with California. If we get Disneyland Forward, could that be an expansion?
Or Coco,
with Coco. So I have a feeling to hold it in Brazil and kind of utilize their culture and their nationality with these IPs. I have a feeling Encanto and Coco are going to be the headliners to that.
Yeah, maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe they have big plans for these properties. So what better way to maybe announce some of this stuff is in South America itself, right? That's a good possibility. Another thing too, I think with the Brazilian D23 expansion, Elizabeth, is they must have data or something. Maybe Disney is very popular down there and they feel like it's a huge market out there, and that's why they're also going down there. So it's maybe a little bit of mix of both, like what I'm saying and what George is saying. But yeah, very interesting that they're going into Brazil. Very, very interesting. We got Slimer in the house. You know what happens when we get Slimer in the house,
Oh,
George?
yeah.
And all these dollars got commas that come with commas behind them. And all my slammers be slamming them. And all my slammers be slamming them. And all my slammers be slamming them. And all my slammers be slamming.
There we go. It's official. All the Slimers be sliming. Slimer, welcome back, brother. With Pokemon rumored to replace Springfield and Zelda long rumored to replace the Lost Continent, how much Nintendo is too much Nintendo at the Universal Parks? Seymour, if Seymour's still here, Slimer, he's going to have words for you, man. He loves Nintendo. He loves Nintendo. No, in all seriousness, though, Slimer, here's the thing with Nintendo. Nintendo is such a versatile brand. Look at the properties we're talking about here. We got Pokemon, right, which is a very Japanese kind of property, right? Zelda, right? It's completely different than Pokemon. Yeah, Mario, which again is completely different than Zelda. You have even this Luigi's Mansion thing. I think with Nintendo, it enjoys enough variety within their overall brand that you can get away with a lot before people get sick of it, right? So I think they're okay. I don't think they're anywhere close. You can really, honestly, you can make an entire park about Nintendo. I mean, it's that diverse of a, brand. They got so much you can tap into. What do you think, George? How much Nintendo is too much Nintendo, George?
And right after you just said that statement of an entire theme park of Nintendo, Seymour just shat himself.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think this is actually smart on Universal's behalf because, as you said, OG, it is very universal, no pun intended, to kind of branch out the brand because there's so many different IPs and storylines that don't necessarily have to be interconnected with one another. But I feel like the smartest part of it all is that they're incorporating some sort of Nintendo IP in each individual park. So you have Pokemon that would take over Universal Studios. You would have Zelda that would take over Islands of Adventure. And then you would have the addition of Luigi's Mansion added into the Super Nintendo that we're already getting with Yoshi and Mario Kart and Donkey Kong with Epic Universe. So I feel like that it branches out enough where it's not overwhelming, where you're sticking all these IPs together in one section.
Yeah, and it points to this idea that we've had a lot here on the channel, and we've gotten shit for it. A lot of people, I tell you, every time I bring up the fact that Epic Universe is going to cannibalize or potentially cannibalize Island of Adventure or the studio park, oh, gee, you're just a Universal hater. I'm not being a hater. This is just business. You know what I'm saying? And you have the new shiny thing. It's going to pull from the old stuff, you know? But this shows that Universal's also concerned about that. And so they feel like they need to address these other parks to kind of balance this out. And it's a smart move on Universal's part. It's a smart move. But we will be deep diving into this whole Nintendo thing with Seymour this weekend. He's our Nintendo guy. So look for that video this weekend. It's going to be a great conversation. I'm telling you, personally, I am very excited about a lot of the Nintendo stuff that I'm hearing about Universal. I think Pokemon, Luigi's Mansion, we talked about earlier on the show. I think these are great ideas. Really, really good ideas. And I think that Universal is playing it really smart. And and hey, you know what? Thanks to ValueAct, right, George? Because it was ValueAct who got involved with Nintendo a few years ago and pushed for Nintendo to get into more things. So ValueAct, absolutely.
So now that the fact that Disney is incorporating themselves with ValueAct, take it as a positive note as of right now.
Yeah, absolutely. As of right now, from what I'm knowing, from what I've heard from Seymour, from what I've read about ValueAct, they're absolutely a good thing to have in Disney's corner, 100%. Yeah. Kaylee here says, best Lunar New Year Zodiac animal. Okay, so George, I know you're an expert on Zodiac animals, but just bear with me while I give you some of them. So you know, for the audience, I know you know them all.
Of course.
We have tiger, horse, dog, dragon, monkey, rat, snake, ox, rabbit, rooster, pig, goat, sheep. What's the best one, George? What are you feeling, brother? Are you an ox? What are you feeling? Are you monkey, dragon?
So for me, I'm just going to go for my zodiac animal, which is the horse. Okay. So, I mean, it's pretty much pretty much a tough act to follow.
yeah, exactly. There's a joke in there, but I'm not going to say it. Of
course,
balls to the wall joke. But now we'll skip it.
We'll just hang that one up.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just hang that one up. Yeah, My zodiac is actually the goat, which
you're the goat.
I'm the goat, right?
You're the goat. No.
Mine's the goat, but that's actually not my favorite. My favorite would be the dragon. I think the dragon's pretty dope, dude.
Okay. So if I'm gonna go by my favorite, probably the rabbit.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to go with the rabbit.
Is that why you got the rabbit behind you, Oswald?
I have the rabbit behind me. Yes, I got the rabbit. I got the rabbit behind me there.
There you go. Kaylee here with another banger question. Fave homie from the 100 Acre Woods. Who's your fave homie, George?
Probably. Probably Tigger.
Really?
Probably Tigger.
Huh.
I just love his sarcasm, but it also shows another side to him with the Tigger movie. That he does have a lot of heart and wanting to have that connection with family and what have you. A close second for mine is Rabbit, especially because with Rabbit he is. I think that's probably why, because I love the banter between the two of Tigger and Rabbit. They work really well, even though they're kind of like the odd couple. Yeah. So Tigger and then Rabbit's a close second.
Now, I know you remember, George, but Pooh's Corner on the Disney Channel back in the 80s. Mm-hmm. That was a great show.
Oh, I love that show. I absolutely love that show. As that was one of my questions when we did our live show with Slimer.
Right. The New Year's.
Those were my the New Year's one. Yeah, that was my top 3. It was Dumbo Circus, Under the Umbrella Tree, and Pooh Corner. Like those were the top dogs.
That was peak Disney Channel at that time. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Peak Disney Channel. We got Maybe in the House. Maybe is in the house. You know what happens when we got Maybe in the house, George?
Yes, we do.
Cause I'm that girl that drives you crazy, but you're killing me alone. Got you thinking maybe alone. Got you thinking maybe alone. Got you thinking maybe.
There we go. Maybe is officially in the house. And she's asking, what movie can you remember had a marketing campaign that stood out to you? The marketing campaign for The Force Awakens, I'll never forget it. There was an energy around that movie that was like just out of control. Like everybody, regardless of what people think about the sequel trilogy and how it turned out, the marketing campaign leading up to The Force Awakens was insane. I'll never forget that first teaser they did with the Millennium Falcon, right? It was just like, oh,
with Han Solo and Chewie, and he says, you know, welcome home, or like we're home, or it's like,
well, that was that was a great one too. Yeah, that was actually at the Star Wars Celebration. They premiered that one.
Yeah. So like the way that they just stretched that out, like with each individual. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else for me. I think honestly, The Force Awakens, and honestly, a close second for me would be Jurassic World, the first one.
Jurassic World. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I feel like the campaigning for that one was kind of interesting because that was like the first movie back since the original trilogy, which was getting all the hype.
Yeah.
As far as I know, that was a close second, but I agree with you. I think The Force Awakens took the cake for that one. Yeah.
There was so much energy there, man. It was just like, it was palpable, man. It was like the world was on edge, like just waiting for this thing, you know?
Yes.
Insane. Yes. I absolutely love that. I don't think anything will come close to that. Although Endgame and that whole thing got pretty close. It got pretty close.
Yeah.
Matthew Murr, all the way from the UK. Is there any genre of music that you generally can't stand? I can't stand gangster rap or Europop. Oh man, Matthew, I love gangster rap, dude. I love it, dude. The genres that I can't stand, honestly, country music. I don't like country music at all, and even rock or like heavy metal and stuff. I just can't do it. It's hip hop, R&B, gangster rap, and K-pop for me. Those are my favorites. What about you, George? Where do you stand? What music can you not stand? Like, just can't stand it.
I can't stand. I could do soft rock. I could do hard rock. I can't do metal. I don't like the really loud screeching, head banging type of thing. It's like it's not for me. Like I could have that attitude. Like I could have like that rock and roll type of thing. I mean, I could still maybe like kind of get into like Aerosmith a little bit of their music.
Right.
Like there's certain things I can, but I mean. Yeah, I can't get into heavy metal, and I can get into some rap. The K-pop I actually got into, believe it or not. I started listening to Blackpink more recently because I don't know, just being having it, you know, enthralled in like our live shows and stuff. It's like I really should give them a chance, and honestly, I'm starting to dig the music.
Yeah, they're fun.
But the real like hardcore rap. When it's like very vulgar or like it's just not my style. But I
really?
mean, there is some rap that I do enjoy. But I mean, like, yeah, that's the kind that I can kind of
gangsters don't dance, they boogie, George. Come on. You don't like that song, dude?
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's like exceptions to every rule. Like, there's certain songs I love in each genre, but as like a scope, like right. Overall, like those would probably be the two. But there are songs like in the genres that I like, but they're very far in between.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. Kenzie's Fairy Tale here says, question: if you could meet any Disney character in the parks, who would you meet? They don't have to be a character who is actively meeting. So any character, doesn't have to be any character right now. Who would you meet?
So even if it's a character that's not actively meeting, I'm trying to think. Who was the The one character I would absolutely love to meet, and I had this conversation with several people, because I wish that I could have made it to that 90s night at Disneyland, is Darkwing Duck. I would absolutely love to meet Darkwing Duck.
Oh, that'd be really cool. That'd be really cool. Actually, mine, Candy Camper here is asking about gargoyles. I think gargoyles would be pretty cool to meet, you know? I think
they did have a Goliath meet and greet, not a meet and greet, but they did have that character art long time ago. It was like in the 90s. I mean, he, as fast as he came, he was gone. But I mean, they did have a Goliath character.
Yeah, I think they would be pretty cool. They would be really cool. Actually, another one would be cool if they could wing it. Would be Chernabog, but like if you're gonna do Chernabog though, it'd have to be like a rollout animatronic or something crazy, you know, like a big, like, you know,
yeah.
Oh gosh, can you imagine? You're standing next to Chernabog, it's like, you know, 30 feet tall.
30 feet tall, yeah, it's like dang.
That'd be amazing. Thoughts on gargoyles joining the MCU? No, forget about it.
No,
nah. Gargoyles is dope though. They're actually gonna make a live action. I think it's either a movie or a show for Disney Plus.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be, I think it has potential. It absolutely has potential. Teo here says, so real talk, what's everyone's beef with Pixar Fest? As a Disney World local, I would love more events at our parks more often. Teo, this is my thing, man. And I completely agree with you. The anger and the animosity towards a temporary event is absolutely ridiculous. We talked about this with Danny from Five Fires the other day on the channel. It's really ridiculous. Even if you don't like Pixar Fest, if it's not your cup of tea, it's not your bag of donuts, right? Who cares? It's only gonna be here for 3 months. It doesn't matter. It's temporary. So I don't know what the beef is, to be honest with you. It's weird that people are so angry about something that's only gonna be here for a few months. George, what are your thoughts? What is the beef, man, with Pixar Fest? Why are people so mad?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I know it got some backlash, you know, from the last time. A lot of people didn't like the fireworks show, but I mean, I'm a huge fan. I'm a component to try something twice. You know, sometimes it may not go right the first time, but you always got to give something a second round. And who knows, maybe they worked out the kinks. Maybe they, you know, they're adding a little bit more into the Disneyland park. You know, as I said, they're probably, they added more scenes, more characters, more music to the fireworks show that they didn't have the last time. Possibly unique character meet and greets, obviously food and merchandise. I don't know. I'm excited about it. I'm actually going to come out for this at some point during the time of its run. I'm very curious about it. I really don't have, and it's a festival. It's an event. It's temporarily, folks. It's temporary.
Here's the thing. Look at some of these events in the past. Some of these celebrations. When I was a kid, we had the Disney Afternoon Live. Google it. Look at the imagery coming out of Disney Afternoon Live and how ugly the decor was for that event. Or the state fair thing they did at Disneyland back in like 86 with a giant Ferris wheel on top of the train station. I mean, hideous stuff, but they're temporary celebrations. Pixar Fest, yes, it's ugly. So what? It's only for the summer, right? Obviously they're trying to promote the new Pixar hotel. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Just enjoy it for what it is. It's here today. It'll be gone by Labor Day. Why are we all stressed out about it? As fans, let's learn to pick our battles a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's a little bit crazy. Maybe here says, what's a fest or an event you guys would do in the park? George, the Italiano. Would you do Italiano Fest, George?
I was just going to say they should have a Italian Day, because there's an amusement park that's local to me. It's Kennywood Park, and they were notorious for having, in July during the summertime, they would have Italian Day, and a bunch of big Italian families would come and picnic and kind of bring their grills and everything. I mean, it was this huge thing. Like they'd have the Italian colors and what have you. So
the national anthem. They had that playing. There you go. Yeah.
So that would be like, I think that'd be kind of cool to have an Italian Day, especially in Epcot, because I mean, like they showcase a lot of the different cultures and countries, and Italy is one of them. So man, I would love to see an Italian Day.
I would love to see, like we were talking earlier about vintage, like Disney Channel. Like if they did like an 80s or even 90s Disney Channel fest for like the whole summer, not an upcharge thing though. Like everybody gets in on it, and you can have your character meet and greets with the Dumbo Circus characters or the Pooh Corner, Adventures in Wonderland, right? Like remember the Tweedledee and Tweedledum and all the rappers.
Cool. See, now I enjoyed that. Like I love their kind of rap, like they did with like that was awesome.
Yeah, see, but that kind of stuff would be really, really fun. Like a fun celebration for like the summertime, like the old school Disney Channel thing. I think it would be really, really cool. You know,
yeah.
Even if you want to do like a Disney afternoon event, like what they did with Disney Afternoon Live, but bring it to the modern age, I'd be down for that too. I think it'd be a lot of fun. A lot of fun,
Absolutely.
actually.
Before you move on, I just have a question here. It actually was in here, but it was resent to me.
Oh, okay.
Really quick. Because I think it got like mixed in with the thing, or I might have been absent during the time when it was.
Yeah.
So this is actually coming from Kaylee. And she's asking, how did you get a hold of the top secret vision Eisner had for Dino Land? Okay, so this is this was a conversation I was having with her, which it just came out of nowhere that we were talking about Dino Land and how it was going to be changed over and how we actually enjoy Dinosaur and not to compare it to Indiana Jones because they're like two separate attractions or whatever. So we were talking about like Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama and everything. And it got me thinking because Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama opened around 2003, 2004 in that time frame where Eisner was technically still CEO of the company. Right. So Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama was not an Iger thing. That was an Eisner thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were just talking just in general of like how would Eisner kind of like, you know, to come into the park and like, you know, see this going, and they do like the Donald's Dino bash thing, and it's like I didn't even know like the court because that's where I met Launchpad and Scrooge McDuck, and I'm thinking, what does this even have to do with dinos? And a cast member's telling me, you know, they're birds and how birds are correlated into dinosaurs, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But it was like, so it was like, why did they even add that into Dino Land? It's like, I bet you they had like a filing system that they like just opened it and they blew the dust off this file that said like 90s to early 2000s, like Eisner era. And it had like Donald's Dino Bash.
Something.
And it's like to pay homage to Eisner. It's like, yeah, let's add in Dino Bash to this, you know? So it was actually a funny conversation because it just like came out of left wing. No pun intended.
There we go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Tayo here says, are you guys planning on doing any of the after hours events at the Disney parks, domestic Disney parks this year? What about you, George? Any plan? Any after hours stuff? Or don't care?
I don't know. It's like one of those things where it's kind of like a hit or miss for me. I do know that they incorporate some of the extra magic hours if you stay on property with Walt Disney World. Since I do stay on property, they are including the fact that it's not just going to be the deluxe resort hotels anymore. It's going to be if you're staying, you know, on property in general. So I might consider that. As far as like the hard ticket events, probably not. But as I said, I am very curious to see how well they do with Pixar Fest. So yeah, I'm very curious.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, I'm not planning on doing any of the after hours events this year. I haven't really done any of them, to be honest with you. I don't know. I'm not. So the only one that I was kind of interested in is that 90s one. If they bring that back, I think I might.
I will. Oh, yeah, I will. Yeah. I will definitely buy a ticket for that.
You're going to drop some money on it, George? Hold on.
I will drop some money.
I see in the chat we're talking Lisa, so we got to drop some money. There we go. All right, where was I? Let me see here. Oh, and maybe here says, oh my God, I just noticed Hulk's booty. Yeah, for those of you that missed it, right above my head is Hulk taking a number 2 on me or something. I don't know. Right over my head. Okay, so let's see here. I lost my spot. I do apologize, everybody. Let me just go ahead and There we go. Okay, Love Low. With the news of Selena Gomez portraying Linda Ronstadt in a biopic, what is a biopic of a musical figure that you'd like to see? George, biopic. Musical figure. Who would you want to see?
Well, first off, I just have to say, I think actually that was really great casting for Selena Gomez to play Linda Ronstadt, because you could definitely see like some of the resemblance there. I think she'd do a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who.
Well, I'll go first then.
I know. I think I know who's yours is going to be. So like.
Well, no, I think you'd be surprised actually.
Really?
I think you'd be surprised. Yeah, I actually would go Michael Jackson.
Really? Okay.
I would go Michael Jackson. He had a crazy life. He is still the king of pop. Like Michael Jackson, there's never going to be another person like Michael Jackson on this planet. I think a Michael Jackson movie would be interesting. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I think they actually are doing a Michael Jackson biopic, if I'm not mistaken.
Now, I do know that they did have, like, it was a TV movie. It was back in 1992. It was titled, well, it wasn't just about Michael Jackson, so I guess they can kind of, but they did it just on the Jacksons themselves. It was called The Jacksons, The American Dream. And it was like, it was so long that they actually broke it off into two-parters.
Wow.
It's like a 4-hour movie. And who actually plays young Michael is actor Jason Weaver, who played Marcus, Taj Mowry's older brother in Smart Guy, also did the singing voice for young Simba in The Lion King.
Interesting. See, George has all this knowledge of like this stuff I never thought he would know. Like when we did that show with Jay Shear, and you busted out the first and last name of the editor for Jaws, you blew my mind, dude. You blew my mind. I had no idea you knew that. That was crazy. Absolutely crazy.
That's awesome. But I don't know. Honestly, probably, yeah, I would still say Michael Jackson, because like his life was a roller coaster ride, and I'm for sure there's probably a lot more stuff that, you know, they can dive into. And I'm not just talking about the controversial stuff, but just, you know, just him going beyond of like how he became the king of pop and everything. I think that would be a very, very interesting movie.
Absolutely. And maybe here says, who needs Lisa's money shake when we have the Hulk? Should we do a biopic on Lisa's money shake? I think that might be interesting.
There you go.
There you go. That works. Slimer here says, fun fact, Ernie Hudson reprised his role as Winston Zeddemore on the Super Mario Brothers show. Wouldn't be surprised if Luigi's Mansion was inspired by that episode. That's interesting. Like a Ghostbusters crossover. Do you remember, now you might be younger, because you're younger than I am. I mean, yeah, you're younger than I am. I don't know if you've ever seen the Super Mario Brothers Super Show that was on Fox as a kid. Did you ever watch that?
Yes, I have, yeah.
With the rapping theme song and the whole thing?
Yep.
That was a good show. That was a really good show. But what do you think about this? Do you think they would ever do that crossover or not?
I don't know if it would be relevant enough that people would know what. I mean, obviously people like us because we're nerds, but I don't. They may do it to play a nod to it, but I think more so in today's time, I think that they're just gonna kind of do it in like their own thing.
I agree. I don't think they're going to get that crazy, but that's an interesting concept. Actually, that might be something you might be able to play with like if Universal wants to do like some sort of after hours event, then you can kind of play a little more like that, you know, with the Ghostbuster crossover with Luigi's Mansion. But for the permanent attraction, yeah, probably not going to incorporate that. Undead Nerd, with Simpsons Pokemon rumors, I hate to say it, Universal is never going to get rid of the Marvel stuff. No, I disagree. I completely disagree. The Marvel stuff at Universal, regardless of Pokemon, regardless of The Simpsons, regardless of all that stuff, it's a dead land. Disney's never going to let them add anything to it. Like eventually Universal, I would think, is going to want to utilize that property for something else. All they can do, from what I understand from the contract, is basically paint and refresh what it currently has. So yeah, I do think that eventually the Superhero Island will end up going. Now, Universal, I think, will hang on to those Marvel rights as long as possible. But when land starts to run out, and when things start to run out in Island of Adventure, they're going to start looking to that because they can't do anything with it. What do you think, George, in terms of that? Do you think this Simpsons and Pokemon rumors spell Undead Nurse here, because of Pokemon and Simpsons? Mm-hmm. They're going to keep Marvel. I disagree.
I think honestly, I feel like we're on like the final leg life for Marvel being in the Universal parks, just because right now they can't add anything new. They can only do small touch-ups, and sooner or later it's going to be completely outdated. Look what they're doing now with, with the rumors with Lost Continent and the Simpsons. Eventually that land, with all the newer lands that will be coming to those parts, Marvel's just going to kind of stand out as being a weak point. Now, is the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man still a groundbreaking attraction? Absolutely. I love that ride. It blows web slingers right out of the water for sure. But when you look at the whole land as a whole, it's going to be eventually where there's going to come a time where it's going to have to go back to Disney, and I think Disney is just kind of waiting on it.
Yeah.
And I'm for sure Universal will come up with something that will fill in that land.
Yeah.
That'll,
No,
But
Universal.
I think it is going to end up eventually going.
Universal has done a really good job with bringing in outside IP with Mario, Nintendo, Harry Potter. Obviously, they have smart people over there at Universal. They'll figure something out. You know what I'm saying, in terms of a replacement for Superhero Island. But it's a dead land. They can't do anything with it. You can't add a new ride or anything. So it's just taking up space. I mean, eventually they're going to run out of stuff to replace over there, and they're going to have to look at Superhero Island at some point. Is it next year? No. But 15, 20 years from now, maybe. You never know. Yeah. Undead Nerd here says, do you think Universal will redo Men in Black and make it in a way you can score your points on the app? What do you think about that, George? I've never been on that ride. So
yeah, I enjoy it. I like the Men in Black. I don't think that they'll update it. I don't think they'll really put anything more into the franchise. I mean, Men in Black was a hot ticket in the 90s for sure. Banger soundtrack. I mean, but I don't think they would add anything more to it. I think, honestly, they would probably get rid of the attraction and put something more in than update it with an app.
Isn't Men in Black part of the area that they open an hour later than the rest of the park?
Yes.
And Slimer, we had him on the show. We were talking about that. I mean, clearly they're opening this whole area up later for a reason. Obviously, it doesn't justify the cost of having the cast members there.
Yeah.
Men in Black isn't a huge draw. You know what I'm saying? It just isn't, So maybe there'll be a day when we don't even have a Men in Black ride, for all we know. Showcase of Wishes. It's so cold out. Families from Denver will feel at home. This is funny. On Twitter, Jay Shear has been kind of teasing.
He's been on a freaking roll today.
Yeah, it's been fun. Go on Twitter and see it. It's really fun. He's been teasing because I said it. I made a tweet. I said it's too cold. Yeah, I can't do it out here in California. I can't stand when if it's like 50 degrees, I'm freezing, and it's windy too. It's horrible. And Jay Shear, he lives out there in Colorado, and he's like, "Oh, gee, come on." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. George over here, the Italiano over there on the East Coast, dealing with temperatures that I can't even imagine.
You would, bro. If you were over here, your ass would be running back to Cali. You'd be stripping like in the 50 degrees if you feel the crap that I'm dealing with right now.
Well, how cold is it out there right now, George?
Right now, it is actually. Let me see.
Check it out. I'm very curious.
Hey Siri, what is the temperature outside with the wind chill?
The wind chill is currently 31 degrees Fahrenheit.
31 degrees.
That I would not do that. It's let me see. Oh, it's 47 out here in California. 47. See what I'm saying? Way too cold. Way too cold. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I like heat. I like warmer weather, and you know what I'm saying?
I'm right there with you though.
Yeah.
I love the heat, but I also like the heat, but to stay cool. And I feel bad for this guy because when he came into when we were staying down in the Anaheim area, we split a room so we can go back and forth like for Oogie Boogie Bash and all that. Yeah. And I had the air blasting, and I just like turned. He wasn't even in the room for like 2 minutes. I turned, and he's like, "Could you mind turning that down?" And I was like, "Oh my god."
Dude, this East Coaster over here, man. Trying to recreate fucking Pennsylvania in his room.
I was dead. I was dead.
It was wild. Candy Camper here says, could we ever talk about a Cars Land expansion? Oh, man, that's a tough one, Candid. I don't know if I'd want that. Usually I advocate for things like expansions and all that, but two reasons why I really don't want it. Number one, Cars Land already takes up a huge amount of real estate at DCA. I don't know if I want even more added to it. Like, we're going to have like half the park Cars Land. I don't know. And it's kind of perfect the way it is. I kind of don't want them to mess with it. I don't know. This is my thought.
Now, the only kind of expansion that I would like just to add one tiny smidge of a feature, I don't know where it would go, but where it wouldn't like hinder. Yeah, because I absolutely agree. I love the way Cars Land is the way it is, but I would still love to see that original concept of how they would have incorporated sort of like a sci-fi dine-in where you sit in the cars like at a drive-in and you can dine while you're like watching like different clips. I would have loved to see that, like sort of how they kind of showcase that at the end of the first Cars, where they're at the drive-in and they're watching movies and everything. I think that would have been a nice add-on, but that would be outside of that. That would be the only thing that I would add to Cars Land.
Yeah. Interesting question. And look out for the bad thoughts, fellas, because we're going to be doing that new show, the Blue Sky Imagineering show. First episode will come out in a few weeks, so that'll be a lot of fun. Undead Nerd here says, while you make decent points about the culture war in the box office, I feel like people are paying attention and blaming Disney more because they are the most loud. So my point with the culture war is I think that it's waning, right? I think the normies don't care as much as the fringe elements on both sides, right? And we see evidence of this with like Barbie, which was like deemed like the most woke movie of all time. Leading up to the release of Barbie, I saw so much content out there that Barbie was so woke, and it comes out there, it comes out into theaters, it makes $1 billion. Okay. If people were that wrapped up in not going to woke stuff, Barbie would not have made $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Maverick, Top Gun Maverick is much more of a conservative sort of angle in film, right? It did $1 billion. So you have two very different kind of things making a lot of money. That's why I don't think it really matters much. Even the Spider-Verse, I know it's Sony, but the soccer mom doesn't know the Sony Marvel intricacies and that deal. They take their kids to go see Spider-Verse thinking it's a Disney movie. Exactly. And they still saw it. So when people come to me and like, well, people are avoiding Disney movies because they're woke. It's like, well, then why did they go to Spider-Verse? Because the soccer mom has no idea about the Sony deal. I'm sorry, they just don't. You know what I'm saying? Why did they go to Barbie? It doesn't make any sense. What are your thoughts, George? What's the deal with the culture war?
Yeah, I feel like it seemed like that was the route that it was going, but I feel like Barbie kind of broke those barriers when, there were talks and rumbles on social media of saying that this is going to be the wokest movie that it was ever, no one's going to, but yet it became $1 billion film, right. And it could actually lead the way for more kind of toy brand products to become major motion pictures. And when people think and talk about Barbie now, they just talk it as it is a successful film. They're not saying, well, still how woke it is, So I feel like I just feel like right now it just depends on if it has a good character arc, if it has a good storyline, a good plot, it captivates audiences' attention to go and see, this movie. I think that's where it really counts. And I think the bigger, I don't want to say issue, but the biggest obstacle right now is the streaming. I think once they kind of notify to where how much they place what content at what time for the streaming, I feel like that can kind of signify of how long to keep it in theaters. Yeah. Because when you then put it on streaming too quickly for free, well, yeah, people aren't going to go see it in theaters because they're going to say, hey, I'm already paying an upcharge monthly price. So, I'll just wait till it becomes free.
Yeah, no, the streaming thing is a bigger issue, and it's affecting the whole industry. And box office is down. Seymour Duck, our friend here at Seymour Duck, has talked about it a lot. Theaters there are bright spots, but for the most part, the theater industry is struggling.
And it's not just for Disney; it's like all around with all these studios right now.
It is. It's Hollywood in general. Look at the AMC stock. It's on the struggle bus. I've been telling you. And here's the thing. What's going to happen when Disney, right, they're going to make less content for theaters because remember, they're focusing on quality over quantity. So they're going to be releasing less movies into theaters. They're going to be cutting their budgets, right, and tightening their belt. They'll be fine. But what are the theaters going to do when there's less movies to put in their venues? I'm telling you, theaters are in a world of hurt. Okay, they are in a world of hurt. and it's not going to be pretty. Now, does that mean the theater industry is going to go completely belly up? No, I think there's still a space for them in this whole equation, but I do think that the theater experience is shrinking. Because even right now, most people are only going to event movies: Oppenheimer, Barbie, Mario, Avatar. The smaller movies aren't really, you know what I'm saying? It's just things are changing. They absolutely are changing. Undead Nerd here says, do you think the Disney parks will relocate the Simpsons ride given the simple concept? I hope to God they do not. That Simpsons ride at Universal is not good. They won't, though. They will absolutely not. If Disney does the Simpsons anything, they'll do their own thing for sure. I don't know. We talked about this, right? The Simpsons. What do you think, George? A Simpsons ride? I mean,
I think honestly, it's the only thing that I would say that I think would be kind of cool is if they incorporated it in Hollywood Studios or Hollywoodland. But who's even to say Disney DCA is going to even have Hollywoodland? We might be getting Pandora over there,
right?
That I think it'd be kind of cool to do like a gigantic dark ride with audio animatronics, Simpson characters. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
with like a small meet and greet outside of the attraction, but it would have to either go in Hollywoodland, which I don't know how much that land is going to be holding up right now, and at Hollywood Studios. Other than it being a replica of what Universal has with that simulator ride, no, absolutely not. And as far as anything else other than that, I can't foresee The Simpsons being a long stretch in the parks. And I think Disney is seeing that now with Universal. Universal is honestly trying to kind of get out of the game of The Simpsons. So I don't know if Disney wants to play that card game with The Simpsons going into the parks. I think it's more so that is an IP strictly for the streaming, which is doing very well.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're coming up. We have a hard out today for 2 hours. By the way, Maybe, thank you so much for that. We do appreciate that. Don't forget to hit that like button while you're here. Thank you so much, Maybe. We do appreciate that so much. We always have fun with Maybe in the chat. She's awesome. So Thank you, Maybe. So we only have a few minutes here. So what I'm going to do, we'll answer one more question. I'm actually gonna at random. I'm gonna spin the chat on my side, and I'm gonna just pick one, and we'll go from there. Okay. Wherever my cursor lands is what we'll answer. If it's a question. Okay, it wasn't a question. Hold on. Oh, it wasn't a question. Hold on. I got to get to. Okay. All right, here we go. There we go. Benjamin Schaefer here says, this is the last question tonight, everybody. So we have a hard out today, but I want to before we answer this, I want to just thank everybody for the amazing questions and showing up full force tonight. Really a lot of fun. We're gonna do another live show very soon. We're gonna keep doing these. We love these. You know what I'm saying?
In the words of one of our favorite Disney parades, Paint the Night. When can we do this again?
Exactly. Paint the Night. Yeah, hopefully we can do that again very soon, Disney. So make sure you bring that back. Let me see here. Benjamin Schaefer here says, do you think the Pride Lands could be built in Animal Kingdom or Disney Paris? What do you think about that?
Absolutely. Honestly, I'm surprised they haven't done that already. Like, I mean, The Lion King is such a huge impact animated film, and I don't know why they haven't incorporated that. I mean, I love how they have the Festival of the Lion King show in Africa, but they could have had even a Pride Lands mini land that's just adjacent off of Africa, because they could have had the real life Africa, but then you could have segued into the Disney animation part of Africa with the Pride Lands, the savannah. It was like, come on. It's like, you have the land, you have the blessing of size. Why not utilize it?
And I've said so many times, a Lion King attraction with the Indiana Jones ride system would be dope, dude. Like, you're in those Jeeps, man. You're like on a safari, and it just because Lion King needs a big ride, though. You can't do like a Peter Pan dark ride for Lion King. Absolutely. You need an Indiana Jones, like a big motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? You need that, and that would be the perfect ride system for it. It would be amazing. It's shocking to me the little amount of love that the Renaissance era has gotten in the parks.
Yeah,
it shocks
I am
me.
too. It is. I am beyond shocked. Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, It took forever and a day for them to do something with the Little Mermaid.
Dude, it's ludicrous, man.
Luda, relax and take notes while I put you up on game.
Ludicrous. Ludicrous, man. No, but you're right. I'm sorry to cut you off. It was just
it was perfect. Perfect segue. But the Renaissance was the biggest, I think, peak in Disney animation history ever, and yet it's less showcased in the parks. Unless you go to the international ones. They show more love to it than our domestic ones.
Right? I know, like Tokyo and stuff. I know. It's crazy. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. But I want to thank everybody in the chat today. Banger show. We got maybe... Oh, wait. That dropped. Hold on. One more time. It's Luda.
Luda, relax and take notes while I put you up on game.
There we go. Ludicrous. So we got maybe Ali Aloha, Showcase of Wishes, Benjamin Schaefer, Slimer, Florentine, California Dreamin', John, Sam Chat, our boy Ebba, Michael Ebba, everybody that joined us today, Jason Hill. We do appreciate everybody. We're going to be doing another one of these live shows very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. Now, before we go, are there any requests, George? What do you want? What's our drop? What drop should we close out with tonight? Sir?
I don't know. I'm feeling something Blackpink.
You feeling a little Blackpink?
I'm feeling a little Blackpink. But before we do, there was one question in there. It was briefly, and it was in the very beginning. I thought was kind of interesting. And someone asked, maybe you even answered it after the fact that I had to step away for a little bit. It was the whose hair grows quicker? Is it OG's head hair or my beard? I forget who actually asked the question. Please forgive me because I briefly saw it, but honestly, I think it's pretty much a tie. I think compared to your hair and my beard, I think we pretty much do damage as the Italianos.
I think so, man. And you know my motto, George: the taller the hair, the closer to Walt, right? There we go. But yes, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We will be closing it out with a Blackpink drop per the Italianos' request. So until next time, we'll do another live show very, very soon. I want a big shout out to Hulk's Butt. Awesome first appearance on the show. Thank you, Hulk's Butt. But thank you all so much for watching. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Like Ice-T, I'm OG. Like Ice-T, I'm OG. Ice-T, I'm OG. I'm demon like IT. Got more juice than High C.